The phone booth shatters. Glass explodes inward as dozens of crazed birds slam their bodies against the panels, beaks snapping, talons scraping. Inside, the blonde actress screams, blood streaming down her face, hands raised in defense. The director watches from behind the camera, emotionless. He doesn't yell cut. After 5 days of this torture, real birds tied to her costume with elastic bands, pecking dangerously close to her eyes, she finally breaks down sobbing from sheer exhaustion. But this wasn't acting. This was revenge, and the woman trapped in that booth would survive to tell a story far more shocking than anything Hitchcock ever put on film. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's rewind. It's 1963. John F. Kennedy is in the White House. The Cuban Missile Crisis has just passed, and families across America are glued to their black and white television sets watching the Beverly Hillbillies movie. Tickets cost 85 cents. Gas is 30 cents a gallon, and drive-in movie theaters are packed every weekend. Hollywood is still mourning the death of Marilyn Monroe the previous year, and the studio system that once controlled every aspect of an actor's life is beginning to crack. Enter Tippi Hedren, a 33-year-old former fashion model with ice blonde hair and striking green eyes, about to make her film debut in what would become one of cinema's most terrifying masterpieces. The tabloids are calling her Hitchcock's next Grace Kelly. She's just signed a 7-year contract with the master of suspense himself, and she's about to star opposite Rod Taylor in The Birds. What she doesn't know yet is that the man who discovered her has plans that extend far beyond professional ambition, plans that will destroy her Hollywood career before it even begins. When most people think of Tippi Hedren today, they picture the elegant Hitchcock blonde, the glamorous movie star, the woman who starred in 2 iconic thrillers. But here's what might shock you. Behind those green eyes was a woman who survived psychological torture from one of Hollywood's most powerful directors, built a multi-million-dollar industry for Vietnamese refugees with nothing but a manicure and compassion, and literally lived in a house with 150 lions and tigers, surviving injuries that would have killed most people. She didn't just break Hollywood's rules, she rewrote them entirely. Think you know the real Tippi Hedren? Think again. Stick around because we've got revelations that will completely change how you see this Hollywood icon who refused to be broken. Surprising truth number 1. The director who destroyed her career. Here's what nobody tells you about The Birds. The film that made Tippi Hedren a star was also her prison sentence. Alfred Hitchcock first spotted Tippi in 1961 during a television commercial for Sago, a diet drink, while watching NBC's Today Show. She was a successful New York fashion model, earning $60 per hour, appearing on the covers of Life, Glamour, and the Saturday Evening Post. She had no interest in acting. She was a divorced mother raising her 5-year-old daughter Melanie alone, and modeling paid the bills just fine. But Hitchcock didn't take no for an answer. He tracked her down, offered her a 7-year personal contract, and promised to make her a star. Picture this: a 31-year-old single mother being discovered by the most famous director in the world. It seemed like a fairy tale. The nightmare began during the very first week of filming The Birds. Hitchcock ordered the entire cast and crew not to talk to her, not to touch her. He called her the girl, as if she had no name. Co-star Rod Taylor later recalled the eerie instructions: "Don't touch the girl." Whenever Hitchcock saw Tippi laughing or simply talking with a male crew member, he would stop whatever he was doing, even mid-conversation with others, and stare at her with what she described as an expressionless, unwavering stare, an icy, possessive glare that could be felt across the entire soundstage. Talk about a power imbalance! Then came the limo incident. After filming one evening, Hitchcock and Tippi were alone in the back of his limousine heading to her hotel. Without warning, according to her memoir, he allegedly threw himself on top of her and tried to force a kiss. She screamed, pushed him off, and jumped out of the car. She described it as an awful, awful moment. But here's the kicker. Sexual harassment and stalking were terms that didn't even exist in 1963. There were no laws, no protections. She was completely alone. The alleged abuse continued to escalate. On the set of their second film together, Marnie, Hitchcock allegedly had a secret door installed connecting his office directly to her dressing room. One day, he allegedly entered without knocking and put his hands on her. It was sexual. It was perverse. She later wrote, "The harder I fought him, the more aggressive he became." When she finally rejected him for good, he made his threat crystal clear. "I'll ruin your career." And he did. After Marnie wrapped in 1964, he kept her under contract for 2 more years, paying her to do nothing. blocking every offer from other studios and directors. She called him a fat pig in front of the crew. His only response to his biographer, "She did what no one is permitted to do. She referred to my weight." By the time her contract ended, the momentum was gone. The woman who should have been the next Grace Kelly was relegated to supporting roles and television work for the rest of her career. Studios were the power, and she was at the mercy of that system with absolutely nothing she could do legally whatsoever. But this defiant spirit? It didn't start with Hitchcock. To understand how Tippy became so fearless, we have to go back to the beginning. Surprising truth number 2. The Minnesota girl who learned to fight young. Natalie K. Hedren was born on January 19, 1930 in New Ulm, Minnesota, the daughter of Bernard and Dorothea Hedren. Her father ran a general store in the tiny town of Lafayette and gave her the nickname Tippy from the Swedish word tupsa, meaning little girl or little sweetheart. Her paternal grandparents were Swedish immigrants. Her mother was of German and Norwegian descent. From the age of 13, young Tippy was already working as a model for a local department store, participating in fashion shows while attending Minneapolis West High School. She had striking green eyes and natural elegance that cameras loved. But when her father's health began failing during her junior year, the family relocated to Southern California, settling in San Diego. After graduating from Huntington Park High School in 1950, Tippy enrolled at Pasadena City College as an art major. She landed a tiny walk-on role in The Petty Girl, a 1950 Columbia musical, but her heart wasn't in acting. In 1951, when she turned 21, she bought a one-way ticket to New York City to pursue modeling full-time. Despite being only 5'4", unusually short for high-fashion modeling, she was signed by the prestigious Eileen Ford agency. Within months, her face was appearing on magazine covers everywhere. She was making serious money and living independently, but she also fell in love quickly. In 1952, she married a young actor named Peter Griffith. He was 4 years younger than her, and his Broadway career fizzled after just a few appearances. But their marriage did produce something extraordinary. On August 9th, 1957, their daughter Melanie was born, the little girl who would one day become a Hollywood star in her own right. The marriage didn't last. By 1960, they divorced, and Tippy returned to California with 6-year-old Melanie, determined to support them both through modeling and television commercials. She rented a $500 a month apartment in Sherman Oaks and threw herself into work. Here's what this tells us about Tippy. She was already a survivor, already independent, already raising a child alone in an era when single mothers faced enormous stigma. She'd learned young that you can't rely on anyone to save you. You save yourself. That defiant self-reliance would be tested in ways she could never imagine. But first, death itself would try to claim her. Surprising truth number 3. The 5 days of horror that almost killed her. Let's return to the birds, because what Hitchcock allegedly did to Tippy during the filming of the final attack scene goes beyond harassment into territory that's almost unbelievable. For the entire production, Hitchcock had assured Tippy that the climactic attic bedroom scene, where her character Melanie is viciously attacked by birds, would be filmed using mechanical birds. Over $200,000 had been spent creating sophisticated mechanical creatures. She had watched them being tested. She felt safe. Then, on the day of filming, the assistant director came to her dressing room with new information. The mechanical birds aren't working. We're going to have to use live ones. Picture this. Tippy walks onto the set and finds a cage built around the entire soundstage. Inside are 4 large containers filled with seagulls, ravens, pigeons, and starlings. Standing next to them are bird trainers wearing thick leather gloves up to their elbows for protection. Tippy had no protection at all. She'd already witnessed 12 crew members hospitalized from scratches and bites. And then Hitchcock yelled, "Action." For 5 straight days, bird trainers hurled live, screaming, frantic birds directly at her face. Her costume designer, Rita Riggs, had wrapped elastic bands around Tippy's dress so that some birds could be tied directly to her body, ensuring they would stay close and continue pecking. On the final day, exhausted beyond measure, Tippy was lying on the floor as the scene required a bird that was tied to her shoulder pecked dangerously close to her eye. She finally snapped. "I'm done," she said, with what little voice she had left. Minutes passed before she looked up to discover that everyone had just left her there in the middle of that vast, silent soundstage, completely spent, empty, and alone. Cary Grant, who was visiting the set that day, told her, "You're the bravest woman I've ever seen." The doctor who examined her afterwards was horrified. When Hitchcock complained that she couldn't rest for a week because they had nobody else to film, the doctor shot back, "What are you trying to do? Kill her?" She was ordered to take a week off to recover from the trauma. Screenwriter Evan Hunter, who saw the raw dailies, later said, "You could see in the footage that she was being attacked. She was visibly crumbling under the assault of the birds. She wasn't acting, she was reacting." Here's the truly sinister part. Many believe Hitchcock allegedly used live birds as punishment for Tippy rejecting his advances in the limousine The Phone Booth scene, where glass shattered near her face. That happened the day after the limo incident. Coincidence? Tippy didn't think so. Talk about a director willing to risk an actress's life. Despite the trauma, The Birds was a massive hit. Tippy won a Golden Globe for Most Promising Newcomer and received the Photoplay Award. Critics praised her performance. She was supposed to be Hollywood's next big thing. Surprising truth number 4. The 400-pound lion sleeping in her daughter's bed. In 1969, while filming Satan's Harvest in Mozambique, Africa, Tippy and her then-husband and agent Noel Marshall came across an abandoned plantation house in Gorongosa National Park. The house had been completely taken over by a pride of lions. The big cats were lounging on the verandas, sitting in the windows, walking in and out of the doors, sprawled across the rooftop. It was surreal and magnificent. The couple was told by locals that animal populations were becoming endangered due to poaching. Right then and there, Tippy and Noel decided to make a film about the plight of big cats in Africa, not a documentary, a narrative feature film, with real lions and tigers as the stars. Animal trainer Ron Oxley gave them advice that would change their lives. To get to know anything about lions, you've just got to live with them for a while. So, they did exactly that. In 1971, they brought home a fully grown 400-pound male lion named Neil to their Sherman Oaks, California residence. They lived with Neil alongside Tippy's teenage daughter, Melanie, Noel's sons, and their household staff. And when we say lived with, we mean Neil had complete run of the house. Life magazine photographer Michael Rougier documented their life with Neil in a now infamous photo spread from 1971. The images are absolutely jaw-dropping. In one photo, Melanie Griffith, then 14 years old, is swimming in the family pool while Neil playfully grabs her leg with his mouth. In another, Melanie is lying in bed, under the covers, with Neil sleeping beside her. "One night I went down to find them both asleep side by side," Tippy later wrote. "It was a sight some mothers might not relish." Talk about family bonding. Other photos show Neil lounging on the kitchen counters while Tippy reads the newspaper. Noel trying to work in his study with Neil, roaring directly into his face Tippy in the swimming pool, playfully spitting water at Neil, who sits calmly on the pool deck. A housekeeper stepping over Neil sprawled across the hallway. The family wrestling with Neil in the living room. Neil ate 12 pounds of raw meat daily. He had no conscience or remorse genes, as Tippy would later acknowledge. He was a wild apex predator living among humans who foolishly believed love and good intentions could override 200,000 years of evolutionary programming. Neighbors, understandably, began to complain, so Tippy and Noel bought a ranch in Acton, California, about 40 miles north of Los Angeles, to house Neil and continue their plans for the film they named it Africa, USA, and it would later become the Shambala Preserve. But they didn't stop at one lion. Over the next several years, as they prepared to film their movie Roar, they acquired over 150 lions, tigers, cheetahs, leopards, cougars, jaguars, and even elephants. And the entire family lived on the property with these untrained, undomesticated wild animals roaming freely. Tippy later admitted in interviews that the decision to let a lion live in their home was stupid beyond belief. The photos from that Life magazine shoot make me cringe, she confessed to the Daily Mail in 2014. But here's the thing, stupid or not, it happened. And what came next was perhaps the most dangerous film production in Hollywood history, because when they finally started filming Roar in 1976, the carnage was immediate and relentless. Surprising truth number 5. The manicure that built an empire for refugees. In 1975, the Vietnam War ended with the fall of Saigon. Over 125,000 Vietnamese refugees fled to the United States, many of them settling in temporary camps across California. Among them was a group of 20 women at Hope Village, a refugee camp near Sacramento in Northern California. These women had lost everything: their families, their homes, their livelihoods, their entire world. Tippi Hedren, by this time in her mid-40s and working as an international relief coordinator for the nonprofit organization Food for the Hungry, was assigned to help these women transition to American life. She was trying to find vocations for them, bringing in seamstresses and typists to teach various skills. But here's where it gets fascinating. During one of her visits to the camp, Tippi noticed something. The Vietnamese women kept staring at her hands. They were mesmerized by her long, glossy, perfectly manicured fingernails. "They loved my fingernails," she later recalled. "They were fascinated with my fingernails." And just like that, Tippi had an idea that would change everything. She contacted her personal manicurist Dusty Coots Butera in Sherman Oaks and asked her to come to Hope Village to teach these 20 women how to do professional manicures. Dusty agreed. Every single weekend, Tippi flew her manicurist up to the camp to teach these eager students. But Tippi didn't just arrange for training. She insisted they learn silk nail wrapping, an advanced technique for creating artificial fingernails that was cutting edge at the time. She wanted these women to have competitive skills that would set them apart. She also arranged for Citrus Heights Beauty College to provide additional support and official licensing. After 350 hours of intensive training, all 20 women passed their California cosmetology licensing exams. In English, think about that for a moment. Women who'd just fled a war zone, who barely spoke English, passing technical exams in a language they were still learning. But here's the kicker. Tippi didn't stop there. She personally scouted nail technician openings in salons across Southern California and secured jobs for every single one of her students. She used her Hollywood connections and personal credibility to vouch for them. Those original 20 women then taught other Vietnamese refugees, and those refugees taught more and more. Word spread through the tight-knit Vietnamese American community that nail salons were a viable path to financial independence and self-sufficiency. Fast forward to today, over 50% of nail technicians in the United States are Vietnamese. In California, that number jumps to approximately 80%. The nail salon industry is worth roughly $8 billion annually. There are more than 130,000 nail salons across America, and it all traces back to Tippi Hedren and 20 refugee women in 1975. Tippi is now affectionately known as the godmother of the Vietnamese nail industry. She has attended reunions with the original 20 women over the decades. One of them, Thuan Le, reflected years later. "Back then, I just thought I should learn a craft to find a job that will help feed my family. I didn't expect that the nail business would become a huge industry, not only in the US, but around the world." If you have memories of getting your nails done at Vietnamese-owned salons, or if you're fascinated by these old Hollywood stories of unexpected impact, please hit subscribe and tell us about it in the comments. This wasn't calculated charity. This was one woman seeing another group of women in need and thinking, "I can help." This wasn't about publicity or awards. It was about giving people a chance. Now here's what nobody talks about. While revolutionizing the nail industry, Tippi was simultaneously doing something even more insane. And I mean that literally, because in the 1970s, Tippi Hedren decided the most logical next step in her life was to fill her family home with wild lions and tigers. Not metaphorically, actually. Surprising truth number 6. The most dangerous movie ever made. Roar production began October 1st, 1976. It took 5 years, cost $17 million, and resulted in over 70 injuries. Called the most dangerous movie ever made. Melanie Griffith, 19, was viciously clawed by a lioness, required 50 stitches and facial reconstruction. The moment before her mauling made the final cut, she'd quit earlier saying she didn't want half a face. She came back. Then it happened. Cinematographer John DeBont had his scalp completely torn off 3 weeks into filming, over 120 stitches to reattach it. He reported back and stayed the entire 5 years. Tippi was bitten in the head by lioness cherries in 1973, teeth scraping her skull. 38 stitches. Later, Elephant Timbo fractured her ankle trying to prevent her from falling led to gangrene. also scratched by leopards and bitten by a cougar. Noel Marshall was mauled so many times he lost count. One leg attack caused gangrene, nearly losing the limb. At least 56 stitches from one incident, 10 more bites during shooting. John Marshall, Noel's son, was first attacked before filming. Lion Tongaroo pinned him, jaws around his head for 25 minutes. 56 stitches. For 7 years I worked with that lion, and he tried to finish the job every time. Assistant director Doron Cowper had his throat slashed by a lion's claw, missed his jugular by less than an inch. December 1978, a dam broke. Flooding destroyed set and equipment. Several lions drowned. Financial losses catastrophic, but they persevered, rebuilding with 150 untrained predators. Here's what's insane. The film is supposed to be a light-hearted family adventure. The disconnect between intended tone and horror behind camera is staggering. Nobody died, despite hundreds of close calls, maulings, scalping, gangrene, floods. Everyone survived. Roar released internationally 1981, colossal failure, grossing $2 million against $17 million budget. But from this catastrophe came something good. In 1983, Tippy founded the Roar Foundation and Shambala Preserve. The 80-acre sanctuary has housed hundreds of rescued exotic cats from circuses, zoos, and abusive situations. Tippy moved to Shambala in 1976 and still lives there at 95. Dakota Johnson confirmed on Graham Norton, Tippy has 13 or 14 big cats with her. By the time I was born, they were in huge compounds. It wasn't as totally psycho as when they first started. The woman who survived Hitchcock's alleged abuse went on to sleep among apex predators. If that doesn't tell you everything about Tippy, nothing will. Surprising truth number 7. The activist who built a real legacy. Tippy's film career never reached its potential. After Hitchcock allegedly blackballed her, she worked steadily but primarily in supporting roles. Charlie Chaplin's final film, A Countess from Hong Kong, in 1967, Citizen Ruth in 1996, I Heart Huckabees in 2004. Over 80 films and TV shows total. But Hollywood's rejection freed her for genuine activism that saved lives. Beyond the nail industry transformation, her animal welfare work is staggering. She co-authored a 2007 California law prohibiting breeding and commercial use of large cats. She's testified before government committees, shaming politicians into action. Shambala has taken heartbreaking cases. A black leopard purchased for $6,000, taken to Newport Beach. As it grew, it scratched satin sofas and chewed Jimmy Choo shoes. Owner locked it in a closet. That's where it lived. Husband would don leather gauntlets, wrestle with it, teaching the animal this is how you treat humans, then put it back. Finally surrendered to Shambala, transported in their car trunk in a zippered clothes bag. Shambala housed Michael Jackson's Bengal tigers Sabu and Thriller after Neverland closed. Took in lions from the 2011 Zanesville, Ohio incident where a man released dozens of exotic animals before taking his own life. Tippy received the Jules Verne Award, Life Achievement Awards in France and Spain, Woman of Vision Honor, Presidential Medal from Hofstra University, ASPCA recognition in 2003. She got a Hollywood Walk of Fame star. Here's the irony. Hitchcock allegedly tried ruining her career. He succeeded in limiting film roles, but he couldn't touch the legacy she built outside his control. The Vietnamese nail industry will remember her for generations. The hundreds of rescued big cats lived better because of her. That's more meaningful than any Oscar. Surprising truth number 8. The memoir that vindicated her. For decades, Tippy remained quiet about Hitchcock's alleged behavior. Donald Spoto wrote about harassment in his 1983 book, but Tippy herself didn't detail alleged assault until later. In 2012, HBO released The Girl, based on her Hitchcock experiences. Sienna Miller portrayed Tippy, Toby Jones played Hitchcock. Before airing, Tippy told Miller to play her as strong because she rejected advances despite career destruction. Some Hitchcock loyalists questioned the portrayal. Kim Novak from Vertigo said, "I never saw him make a pass at anybody," though added, "I won't dispute Tippy if that's what she saw." Asked why her harassment account contrasted with positive interviews and attending Hitchcock's 1979 AFI ceremony and 1980 funeral, her response was devastating. "He ruined my career, but he didn't ruin my life. In 2016, Tippy published Tippy, a memoir providing detailed accounts of Hitchcock's alleged obsessive behavior and assault. She explained why she spoke out. Women complain all the time about relationships they're not interested in. I wanted young women to know never to allow that approach. It's not a bad thing to say no. When critics questioned her memories, her response, "They weren't there. I was the one living that life. How can they possibly have anything to say about it?" The memoir's 2016 release was significant. 1 year later, Harvey Weinstein's scandal broke, launching MeToo. Suddenly, Tippy's story wasn't isolated, it was part of Hollywood's pattern of powerful men abusing positions. In a 2017 NPR interview with Melanie Griffith and Dakota Johnson, 3 generations discussed Hollywood. Dakota noted, "It's similar to allegations against Harvey and others. This weird underbelly has been there forever, but a light is being shown on it." Tippy added, "And it's about time." But as Tippy vindicated her story, helping women find courage to speak out, her body was failing. Surprising truth. Number 9. Her body finally said no. By her 70s and 80s, decades of trauma caught up. Roar injuries alone, fractured leg, gangrene, multiple bites and scratches. Add 5 days of bird attacks during the birds. Her body had endured more than most face in 10 lifetimes, numerous surgeries and hospitalizations, mobility limited. The woman who wrestled lions couldn't move with same freedom. Here's the unfair part. As health declined, studios stopped insuring her. Without insurance, she couldn't work. Her career effectively ended not by choice, but bureaucratic necessity. In a tearful interview, Tippy admitted, "I wanted to keep working. I had more to give. But my body wouldn't cooperate, and the industry wouldn't take the risk." A woman who defied everyone, survived torture and maulings, built an empire for refugees, and saved hundreds of animals, forced to surrender not to any human, but to time and biology. But Tippy refused to go quietly. Surprising truth number 10. Still fighting at 95 with 13 lions. Here's the final truth. She's still alive, still fighting, still living at Shambala surrounded by big cats she loves. At 95, Tippy wakes up every morning in her cottage. She named her cat Johnny Depp. Predecessors: Marlon Brando, Robert Taylor, Sean Connery. She reads, watches TV but not too much news, spends time with 13 or 14 remaining lions and tigers. Melanie visits regularly. Dakota Johnson speaks of her with obvious admiration, keeps photos of Tippy with tigers displayed in her home. During 2020 pandemic, asked about quarantine. "My only routine is no routine at all. I wake up every morning with Johnny Depp next to me, my cat. Should that need explaining?" Tippy still conducts Shambala tours when health permits, still advocates for animal welfare, still refuses to compromise principles. The woman who told Hitchcock no in 1963, knowing it would cost everything, tells the world no today about exploiting animals. Think about this life arc: small-town Minnesota girl modeling in department stores, to life and glamour covers, to Hitchcock's alleged obsession, to building a multi-billion-dollar industry for refugees, to rescuing hundreds of endangered animals, to surviving the most dangerous film production in history, to publishing a memoir helping launch MeToo awareness, to living peacefully at 95 with a dozen tigers and lions. This isn't a woman who faded away. This isn't a woman who let Hollywood or Hitchcock define her worth. This is a woman who took every attempt to break her and turned it into fuel. And she's still standing. Which of these surprising facts about Tippi Hedren shocked you most? Was it Hitchcock allegedly throwing live birds at her face for 5 days as revenge for rejecting his advances? Her single-handedly creating the Vietnamese American nail industry with nothing but a manicure and compassion for refugee women? The 400-pound lion named Neil sleeping in teenage Melanie Griffith's bed like a giant house cat? Or the 70 injuries sustained during the making of Roar, including Melanie's face being clawed open requiring 50 stitches and the cinematographer John DeBont being scalped? Let us know in the comments what caught you completely off guard. We'd love to hear your thoughts about this incredible, complicated, unforgettable survivor who refused to let anyone, not even Alfred Hitchcock himself, determine the limits of her life.